They're currently using this other modeling software called Minecraft.
Yes. Let me tell you about Minecraft in my household.
Wait, what was that? I've never heard of that. Do you say Minecraft? Was that it?
Minecraft, yeah. So it's this wonderful.
Is that new?
All the materials are built in. Even has some particle effects as well.
It's not you playing in. I always see you playing Minecraft on the Discord. It says Michael Bridges playing Minecraft. So it's not you.
No, it's not me. I often host a server, and I just leave it running. And of course, Discord recognizes that a game's being played.
Yeah.
And it's not me playing Minecraft; it's them playing Minecraft, and me doing Blender or something else.
Yeah. And Minecraft was like how I got started with 3D modeling in a weird way.
Oh wow!
How was that?
Making packs for it or something.
Yeah. I was making mods. Basically, it's like code that changes the game. I was like making just these wild-looking pictures and stuff. And I discovered that you could like make non-voxel versions of those in things like Blender and things like that. And that's how I discovered Blender. The first time, at least.
Nice. Some of those mods are super cool. I have no idea how they work, but it's always fun to see them.
Yeah, I love all the the logistics mods. Like when people get really in depth with factories and processing and resources and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about Minecraft and the kids. I mean, I don't know. This thing's been around for a decade now. Is that one of the hardest things in learning 3D is for artists that when I've been teaching in the classroom was always learning how to manipulate 3D space. And when you're playing Minecraft or some of these, especially Minecraft where you can assemble things, you're already in 3D space. So your mind is already there. So picking up Blender and any other 3D software after that, it gets much easier. Like the biggest hurdle was always getting artists to transition from 2 dimensions in Photoshop to the 3rd dimension.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle everyone ever had. And I think that barrier's almost gone now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, video games are super powerful as an educational tool, I think. I remember when I was younger, I've always had trouble with mental maths, but I never had trouble with actually reading numbers, where other kids did. I think I was a bit ahead of my year for that, like actually understanding massive numbers and being able to break them down and read them. And the reason for that was Ratchet and Clank. I played that game all the time, and I was obsessed with like getting as many bolts or nuts and bolts as I could, and like seeing the number go up. And I always wanted to know how to say it, and just even little things like that. You just have something to connect with in this fictional world that's much more emotionally stimulating, and then you pay more attention to it because of that. So yeah,
that can help with language development as well. If obviously there are other ways as well, but if they need to, what does this thing say, Daddy? If only you learned to read, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it certainly drives them because they suddenly realize the power of reading is not just about stories and everything else. It helps them get information by themselves.
Yeah.
So,
and this just appeared in my head, but now I'm wondering if Fortnite has encouraged kids to dance more.
I wonder.
I bet so. I mean, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
For sure.
And TikTok.
And yeah.
Oh,
that's
TikTok.
Yeah, that's a whole other subject. So what's happening there? Is that going to disappear?
I don't think
It's
so.
about to get banned. But I'm not sure. In America, at least. I think it's banned in India.
Yeah.
And heard it's going to get banned in America, but I don't know if that's going to end up happening. We're going to get TikTok refugees, like all the Viners back.
Yeah, that happened, yeah. So some of the biggest YouTubers actually come from Vine, I think. Just a few of them.
Right.
Yeah.
All brothers.
Yeah.
TikTok has nefarious ownership. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So, and the data is not going where it should be going. So
there's no way to
that's
talk.
Probably going to.
Yeah. There's no way to talk about it without it being too political.
There is none. You're right. I'm just not even going to talk about it. But it's in trouble. I'll say that. So
yeah,
probably going to go away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because it is a cool platform. I
Makes
mean,
me laugh a lot.
yeah, it makes you laugh.
But
Yeah.
It was a bit worrying, and this is true of any apps that you trust with your data. Is the fact that they were found to have been scraping clipboard information, and it's just like, well, that could have been my password that I just copied from my secure vault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. You might have just compromised one of your accounts without even knowing it.
Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone heard, but a VPN service has just gotten into a lot of trouble because it was supposed to be a service that didn't store any user logs, like any session logs, and they've been broken into, and they've had tons of user logs stolen. Like I think it was 800 gigabytes worth. So yeah, it was like IP addresses, locations of where people went and stuff like that. So yeah, don't trust everything.
Does anyone here use a VPN?
Not really, but I use Brave browser, and I think they have like inbuilt things in that as well.
What's Brave?
So Brave is a browser that's made by one of the co-founders of Mozilla. This is like a new type of browser. It's privacy focused, and it automatically blocks advertisements that track you, and it also blocks certain types of scripts automatically, and you can turn that off. But it's also built around a cryptocurrency system where, say, if you do opt in to view advertisements that respect your privacy, then you earn little tokens. And then they have this system where if other creators are also signed up as Brave creators, like I am, if you watch their content or view their content online, you can have it so your tokens automatically siphon off to them. So I've received some tokens from other people that also use Brave, and then you can convert them into money. So I just have them convert straight into Bitcoin. It's not much, but it's something. So yeah, it's this interesting system.
Interesting, yeah.
It's also on mobile as well. Not sponsored.
That's been.
Oh, remember that
interesting
beer hack?
Hasn't it? With the sponsorship thing. MKHB came out with a "Can you trust him?" and there's been a few other big YouTubers following suit about can you actually trust what someone's saying on YouTube? Are they being paid? Are they a very good actor for the product, etc.? I mean, personally, if I was to endorse something, it would have to be something that I use, not something I've tried or something that's been given to me. It would have to be like I'd happily, as I did a couple of weeks ago, say, yeah, Rode Podcaster, love it. Mine's been with me a couple of years. The Panasonic G7, really nice camera, really cheap as well for what the quality you get from it, and it's just sat there as it. I don't care how quick it autofocuses. I'm not running around and everything, but it would have to be something that I use on a daily basis and trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at a certain price, I feel like everyone.
Yeah.
Even though I think we would all hopefully at this, from where we're sitting now, say, oh no, we can't be bought to create an opinion on something. I think I said we probably could be at a certain point.
Yeah,
because I would look at the cost of it. I would say, well, I could donate the money or something. And what's it really harming to put that out there? There's a million ways to justify that.
Yeah, so
so it's kind of tricky.
I've declined most sponsorships because I don't think they're relevant towards the channel, or I don't like how they don't give me complete freedom, because I don't want to say a set script, inside of a video, and I don't want the video to require to reach a certain amount of viewership and stuff like that. So I only really work with people on a trust system, which is what I have with Sketchfab, and I'm talking to other people. But I have had offers from people that just want to give you free stuff in the hopes that you talk about it on a video. But I haven't, I don't just accept them. I'll only accept them if I actually think that it's going to be useful for the channel. So I'm talking to one at the moment that I think will be helpful, but I'm definitely going to be transparent about that when I mention it. Hey, I was talking to these people, they've given this to me for free, but I think it would be useful for this, so just letting you know that I didn't pay for this. So I think transparency is quite important.
Yeah, I think it depends because I have a video coming out tomorrow, which I mean it's technically sponsored, yes, but I'm actually using their website for my projects.
Hmm.
So one, I'd be using them anyways. Two, it's like the price they have set up is way better than most sites I've seen. And then I had another company come to me. I'll probably make that video in a few weeks, a dedicated video. But it's a lot more practical to my audience, and I think it's people would actually use it. And that's how I'd approach it in the video. Like, it's a sponsored video. Here's what it does. It's actually a useful product for a lot of people. And then I'll just showcase it. And I always say I want to talk about the discrepancies in the software. I don't want to make it sound like it's all, rainbows and unicorns, because there's always flaws somewhere. So I like to mention that in the video. And most people are completely fine with that. I don't want to BS my audience in any way. I want to be, like you said, completely transparent with everything. Discuss things I don't like, but also how it'll actually benefit the audience. And at the end of the day, that's not really selling out. It's helping you pay the bills, and it's showcasing a product that people might actually have use for. But you just, you need to stay honest to yourself with who you accept and who you don't, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know that.
A lot of us did the graphics tablet. Remember that?
Yeah, as well. And I use it almost every day. It's amazing.
Same. I needed one at the time, like really badly. I just saw the specs. I'm like, well, I'm willing to try it. There was no script. Like, they gave the impression that if it sucks, it sucks.
Yeah. And I said
it works perfectly.
Yeah, and it's super good for sculpting, and it just shows an alternate product out there. If I'm never going to use a graphics tablet, I wouldn't have done a video on a graphics tablet.
Yeah.
That's how I operate.
Link in the description.
Yeah.
To buy it if you want it.
Yeah, I should have done that graphics tablet one. I was gonna say I should have done that graphics tablet one. I didn't end up getting back to them. I was looking around my place going, I have way too much stuff here. Like, if I get one more thing, it's like, that's it. I'm done. I have to just force Goodwill to open and load up the truck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I already had a graphics tablet that I was using. It's like a huge Cintiq, and I'm like, ah. But I'm sure it was really good, and you guys seem to really dig it. So
it's responsive, and it's really good for sculpting. Because I never really did sculpting because I only had my mouse, and I just never justified buying a tablet. But now that I have this, I use it, like, especially for hard surface stuff. Now I can just sculpt and get better at that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Texturing, it's indispensable.
Is it? I haven't tried.
It's just so much better for texturing than a mouse.
Well, you have that too. Or you press down.
Yeah, how you can like map the sensitivity, like the radius and the strength or whatever you want. And in Photoshop, specifically, the way that you can like map it to the pen, there's like so many more options. You can change like scattering and all sorts of stuff based on the pressure. It's really interesting.
So
I added externally a lot for textures.
So here's a question: are there any companies you have in mind that you would immediately say yes, like if they offer to give you something or sponsor you?
Video.
Side effects.
Yeah.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, NVIDIA's at the top of my list, I think, because I rely on them so heavily.
Yep. Or Intel.
Razer.
Yeah. Yeah, anything component.
I'd love a Blackmagic camera.
Anything with
yeah.
PC.
I'm looking at one of those right now. I don't even have a webcam.
The 12. That's new news. 12K, right?
Oh yeah.
You guys hear about that?
Yeah,
$10,000 though.
Yeah,
it's a monitor.
That's insane. 12K.
It's not even usable. Like the amount of processing power it would take to just work on a frame, or like even like a 4-second shot. What? Okay.
You're probably using a compressionless codec of some sort, like ProRes, in which case, that 5 seconds, I'll calculate it, but it's probably going to be like, I don't know, 500 megs a second?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're just having.
I'm like
You
a,
need a data storage server in your home or office just for like a YouTube video.
Mm.
I'm all for the industry pushing forward. I really am, and I'm sure like Sean, you could probably talk way more to this because you're working on like pretty large format stuff. But wait, what? Like, I would rather have honestly like a TV with a much higher dynamic range than like cramming more pixels into something. Like that's just me. Like I'd love to see like HDR, like a total HDR ability. Like I saw Paul Debevec speak in like Pratt Institute. I don't know, like over a decade ago or even longer now. And like the stuff he was doing with HDR was phenomenal. And I'm like, oh my god, if this stuff comes to fruition, it's going to be phenomenal. And like everybody just keeps talking about like more pixels, and I'm like, no, more dynamic range. Like, am I wrong on that?
I would love a 10-bit monitor. That would make my day. Just being able to see the proper graduation instead of seeing the stepping stones of the 256 8-bit color on everything. It would be gorgeous.
I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
I remember years ago there was a Photoshop guy named Scott Kelby.
Scott Kelby.
I remember, and I remember him reading one of his books at some point. This had to be like, I don't know, 99 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when megapixel cameras, were huge, like 2 megapixels, 4.2 megapixels, 6 megapixels. And I remember him at one point saying, none of that matters. Like, what matters is what you're capturing and the composition and the colors. And unless you're printing on a billboard or the side of a building, you don't need anything more than like 4 megapixels, which I can't remember what that converts to in 4K, 8K, whatever. Yeah. And then more recently, director David Sandberg, he's a Blender user, and he's done a bunch of horror movies. He did Shazam. He does videos. He has an amazing YouTube channel, and he did one about the same thing, about how does the pixels matter? Like, how many are there? And he's like, no, the resolution doesn't really matter. Lighting matters, and the way you're moving your camera matters. All that kind of stuff. And yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like the first time I got a film in film festivals, I shot on mini DV, and it was right after HD had come out. I remember being in the theater. Everybody was doing big HD. Everybody looked great, and then mine came up, and it was mini DV in a theater. And I don't know if you guys know mini DV, but it was 720 by 480. Oh, and I just remember like it was. I almost like hung my head, embarrassed. But the story, the reason it was even included in the fest, it was the LA Shorts Fest that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And and this was years ago. This was like then or something. I just remember like being almost embarrassed, but then I kept thinking like, well, they liked it enough to include it. They accepted it into the festival, so something there is good, I hope. And yeah, like having to get up and talk about it and stuff, and everybody's just talking about HD resolution and all that. I'm like, mine was just shot on I bought the camera at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Whatever, 4 or 5 years before that, and it's just what I had, so that's what I used. So, I think that's what David Sandberg says too. Use what you have. Everybody's phone now has a camera on it that's 1,000,000 times better than anything that was available 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, use what you have. And I feel like 12K, whatever's next, it's all just trying to sell you the latest and greatest thing. And I don't know where you're going to. I mean, most of the movies I've worked on are 2K. It will work in 4K, or we'll get 4K plates, and then you down-res to 2K for it to go to the theater. What are you going to do with 12K? I have no idea.
I know. Like, what? It's just, I mean, you're in the entertainment industry, right? I'm in aerospace engineering, right? And like we see the bleed from that, right? So when people are talking about 12K, it's inevitably going to come down to us having to like completely beg for more money just so we could do 12K to appease that one director who's like, we have to do 12K. It's like, no, we just have to tell a better story. That's it. Story's everything.
Exactly.
Like, did you read the remember? I think it was released in 2007. The DV Rebel Guide Stu Mashowitz wrote it.
I love that. Love that thing.
He's using like basically mini DV in that book, right? I mean, it's like it was amazing, and like he did a book called they did a movie called The Birthday Card in there. That's the book, right? And it's one of the best. Honestly, you guys should every one of you should have that book on your shelf. It's so good, and like it's all about like just what you need to do to make a decent film. And like all the rest of this, like 12K and like stereoscopic, camera separation and 3D fakery and all this stuff. It's like, tell a good story. Have some good lighting. Tell a good story and some good composition.
What was the name?
Know your camera angles and don't break the fourth wall.
What was the name of the book?
The DV Rebel Guide.
DV Rebel Guide.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Backwards. Anyway.
No, actually, it's forward. Yeah.
Oh, is it? It looks backwards on mine, but
oh yeah,
it's such a great book. Oh, all that being said, though, if Blackmagic does want to spend a 12K camera, I will put Blackmagic over everything anyone ever sees of me ever again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, true.
I'm having a look on their website, and I love the visual design of the Pocket Cinema camera that they're showing off on the homepage.
Yeah,
I think that looks so cool.
It's the one I want. So great, so cheap too. I should just pull the trigger and get it. But
they do a 6K version for a camera like that. What do you 6K?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right? It's wow, I can do 6K for a 2K camera or a $2,000 camera body.
It's like what
same
do you
thing
have to do with it though? That's always the burning question. I can think of two things, or maybe three: overheating cameras.
Yeah.
But something like green screen work, if you've got a 12 megapixel source, you'll have a perfect green screen because you're outputting it. I don't know what 1080p is going to be of that. It's going to be a tiny, tiny amount. All of the green pixels are basically gone, and you'll have a really nice green screen. But is that worth 10 grand to you? If you're doing this sort of thing, probably not. Yeah. And the other one is being able to crop. That's always one of the benefits of recording in 4K is you can just move around your frame ever so slightly, and you can reframe without losing quality, without losing pixels. And I can't think of a reason why, other than flexing, why.
I'm trying to cool down the camera. Don't mind me.
But I mean, I feel like it sucks, but so much of film is like flexing, like especially when the clients are involved. It's like you just gotta flex everything, and that's why they like to do it. Like especially on the commercial side of things. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's just so much unnecessary stuff just to make people feel cool, and it's not bad, but it's just there's a lot of resources used that don't need to be. And it's fun. I mean, to a certain extent, it is fun. To talk stats and specs, but lots of unnecessary things involved.
Yeah, you do a lot of directing, right?
With getting a job or not, can't it? It's the classic one of it. If you're a salesman and you come up in a little micro car to somewhere that's falling apart, your perception is that you're not a very good salesman, even though you might be the best salesman in the world and you don't care about cars. And if you turn up, I used to do a lot of home computer support and small business. And I worked for a design consultancy, and they have all Macs. And I don't mind whether someone's using a Mac or a PC. It's whatever, go Linux. But the chap was saying, well, if I turn up and I'm not got a Mac in front of me, I'm going to lose to the other designer who does come with a Mac, because that's the expectation in the industry. If you're a designer, you come to the meeting with a Mac, which is absolute rubbish, but it is what it is. It's those perceptions. And probably if someone came up to you and we've got the brand new Blackmagic 12K cameras, they must be good if they got that equipment. It's as you say, tell a good story, design a good image, movie, whatever it happens to be. It doesn't require all the high-end tech.
Oh yeah, let me just say, we do like a lot of corporate type marketing stuff. And it is relatively high, high production value when we get the money to do it. And we had one guy, the same guy who you know, used to put on these $1 million shows. He's not with us anymore. He would go out and hire ad agencies to come in and for stuff like internal employee communication type videos. Where nobody cares about production value and they're not even watching it because nobody cares about like the second quarter shareholder meeting. Like we're not like it's in our periphery, right? And he's coming in hiring an ad agency to do this stuff. And we're like, why are you wasting this money? What do you do? What? But it was like what you just said, Mike. It was all perceived value. They came in with Reds. They had red cameras, and I think I saw an ARRI Alexa. And I'm like, what? You don't need an ARRI for this. That's an awesome camera, but this is like okay, all right. It's all perception. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I can just see it now. One man and his spreadsheet. Quarter one.
Yeah, that is exactly what it was. Like seriously, like if oh man, what's his name? My friend lives up there, and the guy who did those voices, he died. Can't remember. Yeah, but it was like, yeah, In a World. That guy, he lived up in the hills. I can't remember his name right now. It'll come to me later. But yeah, it was like they hired a voice actor who sounded like that guy, LaFontaine, Don LaFontaine. That was his name.
Right.
He had a really nice house, very boxy, but very cool looking. But yeah, so that was I was like, what? And again, they would spend like $1 million to do this video, or oh god, maybe not $1 million, but they would definitely spend probably $100,000 to do a video we could have done for like $7,000. And it was all perception. They flashed the cameras, they flashed the red, and they flashed the ARRI, and it was like, all right, well obviously that's better, you know. And they had a Steadicam rig. I'm like, well, we got a tripod. I mean, you don't need the camera to be doing this. Like this isn't CSI. Like. No one's gonna watch this. Oh, the best part is when they measured the video and they measured the responses, because we could track that internally. It got like a 3% click-through rate or something in a direct email campaign to targeted people. It wasn't even. Oh no, I'm sorry. Like I think it was like a 0.3%. It was like horrible. Like it should have been like a 30% click-through rate at least, based on previous data. So anyway, like it was the perception thing.
I do want to say at this point though, even though we're kind of poo-pooing the idea of this awesome, amazing equipment, and you can get by with whatever you've got in front of you the number of times. If you're into that sort of thing and you're doing it just for the lols, just for fun, and you enjoy it, and a few years ago I had to wean myself off of being a tech enthusiast. Oh, the 1080 was it the 1080 that had 2 releases? I can't remember, but there were a series of graphics cards that would come out, and very easy. You can. Oh no, it was the Titan, and then the Titan X,
Titan
and then
X,
the Titan X again.
Yeah. I
was like, it was then that I decided to just stop being on that bleeding edge, because I'm like, this company, if they just Nvidia, if they just release another XXXXXX, I'm just going to keep buying it.